Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. As you'll see, Kevin is back. Kevin, I understand we have you to thank for the whole worldwide phenomenon that is the Bernie meme. You got us. I think you got that all started, right?
No, I was at least 24 hours too late for it to be cool.
Oh yes, about when everybody realized it was not cool at all. Yeah. I think the best one, and we're not going to spend a whole day talking about Bernie memes. But someone swapped him into the balcony of the Muppets. I thought that might have been my favorite. But welcome to Coffee Talk for the week leading up to, we're getting ready because January 31st, which is Sunday, is the church AGM at 6:30. That's probably the most important thing if you are part of Lakeview, if Lakeview is your home, that you need to be aware of this week. We had baptisms last night. And so it was a great evening. I know that some of you were able to be part of that. Some of you weren't, whatever, life situations, things come up, your internet crashes, whatever. We do have it recorded, but it's not a great recording. Is that fair to say? This is not like...
Yeah, it's available. We'll say it's available.
Right. It's not going to be broadly published because, again, it was done through Zoom, so you kind of end up with the Zoom recording, and you can't really... We don't get to choose what's recorded, and so it's not always what we would want to show.
Yeah.
And so you might be going, I want to watch the baptism, and then not actually be able to see him be baptized. You're like, So it's kind of disappointing in that regard. But it is available. If you do want to watch it, you can call the office, and we'll help you get a chance to see that. But I guess more than that, if you wanted to just send along encouragements or whatever to either Brad or Devin, you can get them to the office and we'll distribute them for you. We want to be praying for them again and continually this week and lifting them up as they, continue to live publicly for Jesus. And so,
what's really cool, I think, about the recording. This is a reason to watch the recording, is because we're in gallery view.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. You see our little camera with Devin and Brad and those guys in there.
Yeah.
But you also see everybody else that's there.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a community viewing. So it's kind of like, being in your chair here and like, yes, you're looking this way, but you have this peripheral view and you have all these people and you have kids over here and you have grandparents and somebody's baking over there and right. And that's actually really cool, and I think that's kind of my takeaway from all of that. It's really enjoyable to see everybody together.
Yes, It is great, but you'll also notice there's a lot of people who just don't want to have their camera on. So you'll just see a name, you're like, that person was there, and you got to listen. Really fun. I don't think some of it's recorded. Not all of it is, and this is what I was sharing with my family when we got back. Because I got home, I'm like, I hear you had pierogies. They're like, how do you know we had pierogies? It's because after the first baptism, we just left Zoom on so some people could chat. So my daughter starts chatting with Darlene and telling her, we had pierogies for dinner. So of course that audio is all live in here, right? And we're just like, not intentionally eavesdropping, but totally was. And I'm like, what? And like, anyways.
So if you said anything incriminating... We'll either hold it against you or we'll cut it out. But.
Right.
Also, what's really cool is you can hear the testimonies.
Yes.
So even for that as well.
That is the number one reason to watch, I would say, other than, the baptism is awesome. I mean, that's such an important thing. But what is the baptism but another form of testimony, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we hear the story. The audio comes through. I mean, unfortunately, I'll plead guilty. I didn't hit record on Brad soon enough, and so we missed a minute of it, but the bulk of it's there.
You hear his whole testimony's on there, though, right?
Yeah.
It's just my stuff that you didn't record, right?
I think I might have missed the first minute of Brad's.
Oh, okay.
Because I was fairly late to the recording. Kevin's like, you hit record, right? I'm like, shoot, and then I go back to the booth to hit record, and I'm like, oh no, I have to give this computer permission to record. So then go back to the other computer, give it permission to record, and then go back to the booth, hit record. It was, I ran up and down those little steps a lot of times yesterday.
Yeah, and it was our plan to have a tech crew here to take care of all of that, so we didn't even have to. We also felt like it was very prudent to just say, we're going to max at 10. And so because of that,
Well-
we had some extra hats going.
It is the government stipulation, right?
It-
So for every crew person we had here meant we'd have to say, okay, which of your family, which of your, your parent, is it mom or dad is going to stay home and not come watch you get baptized because we need a camera person. No, so we decided to make do with amateurs, and so that there could be more family here.
Yeah.
It was a special night, Dave.
It was, right?
Very
It was a good
special.
night.
It was.
Yeah.
I was about to say, hopefully we'll never have to do another baptism during quarantine again. And I thought, no, forget it. Like if someone calls
No.
up this week and
Hey.
says, I want to get baptized,
Yeah.
we refill in the tank.
Let's do it.
So,
Every week.
Yeah.
that's more of it's more of a sentiment like let's hopefully this moves on, not like so if you're still on the fence about baptism, hey, get baptized.
Yeah.
We might not be able to make it happen before Sunday, but whatever. Next week, let's do it. So
It's really rememberable. Rememberable?
yeah, that's
Because, yeah.
absolutely. So
Yeah. Did you want to introduce our coffee? Our
sure.
So I had this idea this morning that we normally have some kind of coffee.
Yeah.
So the plan was we'll go to. It was this amazing large flakes white light snow.
Beautiful snow.
So I
anyway.
thought first thing I thought was we got to go for 50% Froyo.
Yep.
So the plan was to go for espresso Froyo. So.
There we go.
And then we also thought we'd have brewed coffee as well.
I need
don't-
coffee.
It's a toss up.
I was telling these guys, I intentionally drank less coffee at home this morning because I really was excited to have a travel mug of coffee that I could just sip and enjoy and savor and not be rushed. And then I totally forgot it at home. And so,
Yep.
I needed, I guess, more coffee so my brain would be awake enough to not forget the important things, like coffee. It's one of those days. So,
Note to self. Drink
Note to
more
self, that's
coffee
right.
there
Oh,
first.
man.
Yep.
it's so funny how that happens where it's like you're too asleep to make coffee. Like the amount of times I did this one the other day. I almost killed my coffee maker because I filled up my carafe with water, right, to dump in the coffee maker. Forgot to pour it in. Fill the coffee, I grind the beans, I load it all up, and I turn it on, and then I go to making breakfast. And I glance out of the corner of my eye and I see the jug's not there. So my first thought is, oh no, I'm gonna have coffee all over the counter, which I've done many times. And then I realized, oh, it's making a funny noise. I didn't even put the water in. And so I'm just, it was a...
I will also say, I realized last week how addicted I am to coffee because there was one day where, we were out early and you had to get to appointments and stuff like that. I didn't have coffee until 12:30, and I had a massive headache the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole morning,
Yeah.
we were in the doctor's and we were playing I Spy.
Yeah.
And I Spy is not an easy game, especially when there's lots going on. Like we were looking out a window and there's lots going on there. And I Spy without coffee is not a lot of fun.
No.
At all.
How many coffee shops did you spy?
Yeah, that's true. Oh, we could have walked across the street.
So before Shannon and I went to Greece a year and a half ago, a year and a half, a little more than, leading up to that, a few months before, she starts weaning herself off coffee. I'm like, you're not having coffee today? I'm like I was totally baffled. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, well, I don't want to be dependent on coffee when we travel, because what if coffee's not readily available? I'm like, first off, we're traveling with my mom. There's going to be coffee. Like it's just, she's the whole reason we are now hooked on coffee, because we had to go to coffee maker in order for her to visit. No, sort of, but not quite. That's maybe a blood.
She's gonna watch
I know
this,
she's
just
going to
so
be
you
watching
know.
this. No, but she was the one who got us our first coffee maker and all of that. Anyways, so I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're staying at hotels that are going to have coffee. We will be going for coffee. It's no big deal. I'm not going to worry about it. She was like, well, I'm still going to do it just in case. Sure enough, there was a couple mornings where it was like, I'm like, it wasn't even just I didn't have enough coffee. It was definitely, I don't think I had enough coffee, and I'm starting to get those headaches, and I'm starting to, this is not good. And Sheena's just laughing at me like, this is what I was prepping for. Like, are you kidding me? I warned you. I warned you there'd be a day, and then you just got that. It was, bad. So, addiction, chemical dependency aside, we don't want to make light. I don't want to make light of that, but coffee is helpful, very helpful. We started something new last week while you were gone.
Okay.
And it's just simply to ask the question. So we don't have our graphics package yet. Next week, that can be new. But it's simply a new segment called What's New With You. And it's just where we say to one another, hey, Kevin, what's new with you?
Oh, that's the actual question.
That's the actual thing. What's new with you?
Yeah.
All right, you're taking too long. What do you think about it? Jeff, what's new with you?
I knew it was coming, so
Yeah.
I was thinking throughout the week, and I was going to say the baptisms yesterday, but we already talked about that. That was new with me, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was new for me for a couple reasons. One is because it's the first time at Lakeview that I got to experience how Lakeview does it. So that was really, I really enjoyed that. Being a part of it, watching it, experiencing it.
Well, there's not a lot that's different. I mean, there's water.
Well, yeah.
And you know, you hair test them and you dunk them and you bring them back up. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
We made sure he knew that. That's the most important part. You get it out of the water. And all right,
Although
good.
Brad said that he had his mask on,
Oh, yes.
and when he came up, he sucked in water
Yeah.
from his mask, so that
Because
was
he's trying to breathe.
Because he's
when
trying
he
to breathe.
came
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He got baptized on the
So
inside and the
he
out.
was waterboarded
But
a
you
little
assume
bit.
when you come out
Yeah.
of the water,
You can breathe.
now, but you
But the
can't.
mask, so I felt really bad for him, but I did have something else that was new, aside from that. On Sunday, Ursula had posted pictures that she was on Shannon Lake
Yeah.
on the frozen ice, and
Yeah.
in Chilliwack,
Yeah.
like I come from Michigan, so I've been on frozen lakes a lot, and so that's where I skated. But I haven't skated on a frozen outside thing in a long time, so my son Gabe and I went and skated on Shannon Lake, and we
Yeah.
played hockey, and it was just really, and it was beautiful. It was just really fun. So that's new with me.
So you can tell a little bit, Jeff's been in the Lower Mainland. The thing is either a pond, a rink, a lake, like it's an ice surface.
Yes.
If that's the thing, you know, it looked like you were looking for the word of what do you call the thing that's frozen? In this case, it was a lake.
Yeah, we used to call it pond hockey back in
Right.
Michigan. Whether it was a lake or a pond, we just called it pond hockey. But
Even on the island, we had a pond which is more of a swamp in our backyard, and a couple winters it would freeze enough that we could walk out on it, and never big enough. I mean, it was barely larger than the stage. I mean, it was long table, but it was
Did you
not as
learn how
big
to
as the
twirl?
stage. It was not as big as the stage. I've never in my life owned ice skates.
Oh.
But my dad had a pair, and you know, I don't think it was big enough for him to even skate on. But a couple winters, you know, you could
okay.
walk out on it when
So
I was a kid.
let me ask you, did you learn on figure skates or on hockey skates?
Okay, so here's my problem with the question. It's a good question.
I only ask because I learned on figure skates, so you don't have to feel
No,
bad about
I've never worn figure skates.
Okay.
One could make a good case that I have never learned to skate because I can't really skate.
Oh.
Big confession. But whenever I have worn skates and been out on the ice, it's been hockey skates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I learned on figure skates.
Right.
And so then you have that toe thing in the front,
Yeah,
the
the
toe pick.
toe pick, yeah.
And
We
so
call that the face planter.
the first, well, now I wouldn't be able to use them
Yeah.
because I know it's hockey skates, but
Yeah.
but that's how you get going. And then
Oh,
when I got
sure.
hockey skates, I'm like, "Ugh," and I couldn't do it, so I had to anyways. Sorry, back to you, Kevin. What's new with you?
No, so this is only one person, or we go around?
You go around.
Oh, everybody should share.
Get your turn.
Oh, me? All right.
I didn't know it was coming. I'm still right.
Yeah, for sure.
It
For
takes
sure.
a bit.
What's new with me? The new thing is coffee grinders. We're going to stick on the coffee grinder thing.
Okay, yeah.
Because I learned that there's some fools who will pay $4,500 for a coffee grinder at home. Like when I first noticed coffee grinders, I remember a few years back I was in London Drugs, I'm looking at coffee grinders, I'm like, oh, $50, that seems like an expensive coffee grinder. And now I'm like, $4,500? Are you kidding? And we're not talking like to have in your cafe, we mean so anytime someone's like, oh, coffee, that's a $50 grinder, I don't know, I'm gonna be like, no, this is a bargain, let's go. So that my world of is just blowing up in regards to that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what's new with me.
$4,500.
I couldn't imagine.
Do you have to buy like, $500 beans to go in there?
I don't know. I know.
that's
Like
the other
that
part.
was
Like, does it
the,
really change? Because like a bean is still a bean, and how it's
Exactly.
processed, I think probably changes everything. But like if you burn those beans in the roasting, the
Yeah.
grinder does nothing.
See, I would rather,
You actually have to hit perfection on every single step.
exactly. I think my strategy is just to stick with buying quality coffee, right, that I like,
That's a good start.
right? I think that's, because I don't, like, you made the comment earlier about, like, what, run Folgers through it, right? Which, by the way, is not happening in my house regardless, but it just doesn't make sense to spend all,
Chris,
so that you
we're
can
not
have,
supposed to
like,
be- we're not supposed to be
garbage
political.
coffee that's ground just perfectly. I don't think that's gonna make up for it, right? I don't think that running Tim's beans through a fork is gonna make it taste better. I just don't.
But yeah, that's the point, is that like, you still have to up your coffee premium then.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
But I'm sure you'd get good coffee.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure.
If you had that kind of grinder, what do you think like a regular cup of coffee would cost?
It better taste like unbelievably good, but what is it gonna cost per cup? Per cup of coffee is
But like
still
I'm
gonna
saying-
be.
Depends on how long you use that blender for.
And, yeah,
'cause-
in comparison to, like you say, okay, we're gonna replace these windows because we'll have this much
Right.
savings over X amount of time. Okay, if I buy this grinder, we'll have this much better coffee and we'll save this
Yeah.
much money from going to your favorite coffee shop, maybe. It's an interesting way of justifying it to your wife or something.
I'm never gonna be able to justify it to Sheena. It's just never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. But
New car, coffee grinder.
exactly, right? Exactly. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't. But the $1,500 grinder looks like a bargain, right? So
That's why they did it, yeah.
You introduce the 45,
Perspective, yes.
and then you're like, oh, or there's this, and she sees through that. Sheena sees through that. She's
Yeah,
gonna
oh,
be
yeah.
like, no, $40 grinder. Away you go.
Exactly.
Make me coffee. So but anyways, that's what's new with me. What? All right.
What's
You've had time to
new,
think.
with me? Yeah, okay. So it took me a minute. I mean, there's actually a couple now that I think about it. But okay, this one is, we've been talking about doing music, kind of something in our house, because actually there isn't a lot of music that happens in our house. Like I do music here, and like kids do music at school and stuff like that. And one of our boys said, I want to buy a ukulele because they're playing it at school, and he had saved up some money, so we went
Nice.
to the music store. It was
Yeah.
a whole family thing. We also had another instrument that needed to be repaired, so the whole family was in the music store, and it was a combination of this is really cool, don't touch that.
Yes, I know, right? I know.
So we have ukuleles happening all over our house, but then in order to play along with them, I had left my guitar here.
Yeah.
So we have a mandolin at home.
Yeah.
So I'm playing mandolin these days.
Yes.
Just
All right.
because
Picking it
I
back up.
can. And so then I can play with them and play some simple songs and still remember some simple chords and learn different instruments and fingerings and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Do you know?
my wife and I both, for some reason, all day long is stuck in our head. My dog has fleas. My dog has, because that's how you tune
Are you playing?
a ukulele.
Yeah.
It's killing us
Oh, for
because
sure.
all day, every day.
Yep.
And I bet you right now she's just
Yep.
trying to get that out of her head.
So you can play mandolin. Can you play ukulele as well?
Yeah.
So you can teach your kids chords, and that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's the same thing, just slightly different fingering. And
Yeah. We're probably getting long for this video, but have I told you the story about why we have a ukulele at our house?
No.
It's maybe a little involved, but it is connected with how I proposed to Sheena, and a boat we have, an inflatable boat, and a bunny costume that was one time rented, and a few other things. That was all part of this big proposal
Wow.
that I had planned out, which, because we lived on the island, or I lived on the island, most of that got thrown out the window because it rained. But yes, I spent an intense 10 days trying to learn a few chords on this like bottom bargain ukulele I had picked up just to try and trick her into saying yes, which worked.
Can you bring it in next week and play it for us? That little
No,
tune.
well, I wouldn't be able to. You know what? And
I think that'd
my
be so
dog
fun.
has fleas, I recognize, but I don't have a good enough ear to still hear if Is that dog or fleas? Oh shoot, I can't tell. Where's my phone? I got the tuner app. It's all, yeah. And so my kids will wander around the house playing a brutally out of tune ukulele, just having fun with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm glad it's
That's still
garbage
happening.
ukulele, because I don't have to worry about. I think I paid like $15 for it. Like it was. Anyways.
So this is also like, so that's part one. Part
Yes.
two
Part
is,
two. Oh, yeah.
Part two is that we realized, like, I do have a guitar and other instruments at home, and because they're kind of in the back corner, they're in the cases, out of sight, out of mind. So I'm gonna hang them, and so we're gonna have electric guitar,
Nice.
Emerson's mandolin, Emerson's ukulele, Alana's grandma's mandolin, Karis's ukulele,
Yes.
because she wanted an instrument, and my grandpa's banjo.
Nice.
Wow.
So will it look like those stickers, those family stickers on the back of the van?
maybe.
But it'll be a panel on your
Yeah,
wall.
maybe.
It's like, oh, there's dads and moms.
That's
and
great.
Yeah, we might
I like it.
It's pretty cool.
put little name tags over top
Yeah.
of each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Very cool.
Well, my coffee cup's empty, and I desperately
Yeah.
need to refill it.
We need more Froyo.
We need to get back to work too, but thank you for spending some time with us today. I look forward to seeing you Sunday morning and Sunday evening at 6:30 for the AGM. That'll be on Zoom. Make sure you get the email with the bulletin, because that'll have the link. If you don't normally get that, connect with the office Thursday or Friday, and we will make sure that you get on the list of people who get the information, and we look forward to hearing your voice and having your input as we make some decisions for the church on Sunday night. We will see you later.
God bless.